Imagine this. You wake up one morning, open your phone, and every notification reads the same terrifying headline. World War III has begun. The world's superpowers have clashed, global alliances are being tested, and every major city is on high alert. What would happen next? Would civilization as we know it survive? Or would humanity spiral into chaos like never before? In this video, we're diving deep into the scenario that everyone fears but secretly wonders about. What if World War III started today? The spark that ignites it all. Every major war in history has started with a single spark. A moment no one could take back. In World War I, it was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. In World War II, it was the invasion of Poland. But what about today? In the modern era, the spark wouldn't necessarily be a single bullet. It could be a cyber attack, a drone strike, or even a territorial dispute gone wrong. Picture this. A hacking group takes down a nation's power grid, leaving millions in the dark. The attacked country retaliates, believing it's a rival superpower behind the strike. Within hours, missiles are pointed, alliances are triggered, and the countdown begins. Tensions between NATO and a bloc of Eastern powers, say Russia, China, and Iran, suddenly erupt into open conflict. The South China Sea becomes a battlefield. Eastern Europe turns into a war zone, and within days, the world is at war again. The first 48 hours. Unlike wars of the past, World War III wouldn't unfold slowly. The first 2 days could determine the fate of humanity. The US and its allies would mobilize instantly. Satellites would light up the sky, tracking missile launches and troop movements. Fighter jets would scramble within minutes, and naval fleets would shift positions in key regions. But here's the terrifying part. This war wouldn't just be fought with tanks and soldiers. It would be digital. The battlefield would include your phone, your city's infrastructure, and even the economy. Cyber attacks could shut down financial systems, water supplies, and air traffic control. In seconds, chaos would erupt, not just on the front lines, but in every major city around the globe. Imagine no internet, no electricity, and no access to cash. Panic would spread faster than the war itself. Superpower showdown. At the center of this global storm would be the world's strongest nations: the United States, Russia, and China, each commanding massive nuclear arsenals, advanced military technology, and global alliances. The US would likely lead NATO forces, coordinating defense operations across Europe and the Pacific. Russia might attempt to reclaim influence over Eastern Europe and use hybrid warfare, combining military force, propaganda, and cyber attacks to destabilize its enemies. China could seize the moment to assert dominance over Taiwan and surrounding seas, triggering conflict with US and Japanese forces. Meanwhile, smaller nations would face impossible decisions. Do they stay neutral or pick a side? Countries like India, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia would become geopolitical wildcards. Their choices could tip the balance of power. The world's skies would be filled with advanced fighter jets like the F-35, J-20, and Su-57. Hypersonic missiles, capable of traveling 5 times the speed of sound, would be unleashed for the first time in history. Drones, AI-guided artillery, and laser defense systems would redefine modern warfare. This wouldn't be your grandfather's war. It would be machine versus machine. Algorithm versus algorithm. Nuclear deterrence, the ultimate threat. Now here's where things get dark. The entire balance of the world would hang on nuclear deterrence, the one factor that has prevented World War III so far. Currently, 9 countries possess nuclear weapons, with the US and Russia owning about 90% of them. Just one modern nuclear warhead can wipe out a city the size of New York. A full-scale nuclear exchange could end life on Earth as we know it. The doctrine of mutually assured destruction, MAD, is the reason no superpower has dared to start such a war. Because once a single nuke is launched, it sets off a chain reaction: retaliation, escalation, annihilation. If World War III escalated to that point, it wouldn't just be a war, it would be the end of civilization. Scientists call it nuclear winter, a scenario where soot and ash block sunlight for years, collapsing agriculture, freezing the planet, and erasing billions of lives. So, even if the war began with conventional weapons, every leader would know. The nuclear option is a line you can't uncross. The human cost. Beyond strategy and politics, there's the human side, the one we often forget when we talk about war. Cities like Kiev, Seoul, Taipei, or Warsaw could become battlegrounds overnight. Millions of civilians would flee. Refugee crises would overwhelm neighboring nations. Food shortages, blackouts, and economic collapse would follow. Hospitals would overflow. The internet, the digital heartbeat of our world, could go silent. And for the first time in history, humanity would face not just a world war, but a global information blackout. Social media, news, and communication would be tightly controlled, filled with propaganda and fear. People wouldn't know what was real anymore. And yet, in the middle of that chaos, stories of bravery, sacrifice, and unity would emerge, just as they always have. Soldiers on opposite sides might still find moments of compassion. Civilians would organize resistance, share food, and help the wounded. Humanity, even in its darkest hour, always finds a way to fight for hope. Maybe that's the lesson here, that the greatest victory is the war we never fight. If World War III started today, it would be faster, more destructive, and more unpredictable than anything the world has ever seen. From cyber warfare to nuclear tension, from economic collapse to AI-driven battles. This would be a war fought not just on land and sea, but in every digital corner of our lives. But even in that chaos, the story of humanity would continue. One of resilience, courage, and the desperate will to survive. So maybe the question isn't what if it started today, but what are we doing to make sure it never does? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this thought-provoking journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the biggest what-ifs of our world.